tonight on Nova Legends podcast, I have my esteemed group of Northern Virginia girls basketball coaches to talk about all the issues that affect girls basketball, and also in particular their teams and their conferences. Joining me today, back again, is Coach Kirsten Stone, Oakton, of Madison. Sorry, Coach Priester. Sorry, Coach Kirsten.
That's all right. She started at Oakton, but
okay. Yeah. I'm about too far off. I had her on. I had her on so much last year. People probably thought she was on retainer. But welcome back, Coach. I also have Coach Noel Klippenstein from Westfield back again. Coach Amanda Baker from Langley joins me once again after a great run in the postseason last year. Coach Fred Priester, who I did a wonderful one-on-one with last year. Always good to see you, Coach. And Coach is much nicer to me now that we're on podcast, because when I used to referee his games, I never even saw him smile. So
nothing personal at all.
I didn't take it that way. And I'm meeting for the first time Coach Devaughn Drayton from Yorktown. My son just graduated from Yorktown. I have a senior there, and I have a eighth grader who will be there soon. So welcome, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, well, before we get to your teams and some of the basketball issues, I thought we at least give our regards to Coach Lewis, Diane Lewis from Edison, who was on this call last year. I met her for the first time then, even though I admire her work from afar, and just definitely well wishes from her. It's an unfortunate situation, as was normal for these types of deals. We don't know what's going on. I think you guys have heard what I've heard through the news media sources, which are probably rumors. But anyway, I just wanted to toss it around and see if you guys had any comments or any well wishes for Coach Lewis. Anyone want to start? Or
well, I think that the first thing is that everybody knows, but I should say it out loud. We're at the pleasure of, and each year we are, it's a new deal. You have to come back and you have to be rehired, and it's pretty much a foregone conclusion most of the time. But the truth is, I've been doing around for a long time, and I've seen situations where coaches have not been renewed for reasons that the school system, because it's a personnel matter, won't reveal. We're left to try to figure it out ourselves, or just or not. Plenty of rumors out there, and you can choose to believe those. I like Diane. We've had a good relationship over the years. I'm certainly sorry to see this happen. She's probably, they don't have to tell her even what the
is that right
thing is. But my experience has been that generally coaches that find themselves in this strain, they have some inkling, but that's not my story to tell, and so I'm not gonna. But I think it's important to know that that's just the way it works. You were there for one year. I was telling somebody today when I was thinking about this that the interesting thing is that technically you're not in employ over the summer, yet they can tell you can't coach this kid, you can't do that, you can't spend this time in the gym, you can't do all those things. And then you think, well, wait a minute, I don't even seriously work for you. But then the flip side of that is then when you come back around to September, they just say, yeah, who are you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you don't follow the rules that they want you to follow in the summer, you don't get hired back. But technically, we're all terminated at the end of the year.
It's like what Robin Harris used to say, getting fired on your day off. Anyone else?
Actually, first I'd just like to send my regards to Diana. I'm sure she at least is enjoying some downtime right now. I'm sure she'd be getting wired up and getting ready for the season and the school year. But Diane not being on the sideline, the community is truly at a loss. Her being, as all the women, being female sports and being leaders, I think that's very important, but also what she represented as an African-American woman on the sidelines. It's now one less on the sidelines in Northern Virginia. And as much as for the greatness of what she represented on the sidelines and winning, I can guarantee you the community of Edison knows what she represents and means to that community. So I'm sure she's still around in the school, and the community still loves her. But her not being on the sideline this season is something the game is actually taking a loss because of that. So shout out to Diane. I respect her, and I'm sure I'll see her in the gym. Like I said earlier, she'll be in the gyms this week, I can guarantee.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be at Edison for both boys and girls games last winter. And it was amazing the crowd support both teams had and how good both teams were. And now, both coaches, because the boys coach also has stepped down as well. So it's going to be a different environment. Hopefully, they're able to, get some good coaches. I haven't heard announcements of their coaching staff for this year. Maybe you guys have, but so we're still waiting to see. Anyone else want to make any comment, or want to just go on from here?
No, I'd just like to wish her well.
Okay.
She and I started the same year as head coaches in Fairfax County. And we played each other that year, and we've scrimmaged a lot ever since. And she's been a good person to be able to, talk to about women's athletics. And, she's super support, like Devaughn said.
Yeah, I'll keep it super brief, but I don't want to not say something because she deserves at least a couple words here. That I want to echo what Coach Drayton said for sure, that the community is obviously missing her already. You could tell from the immediate response when the announcement was made that it was not taken lightly by folks in the area. And from the coaching perspective, I'll definitely miss competing against her and watching her teams. I mean, they were always some of the best. So just want to send my well wishes to her, and I hope she's enjoying some time off, like Coach said.
Yeah, she's just a class act and will be missed. I mean, that's it.
So, well, thanks, guys. And let's get to the basketball now. So I thought we'd go in order, and I'm not going to go in any particular order. Just it's easier for me to keep track. But I'll start with Coach Stone. If you could just quickly reintroduce yourself, quickly give your background, and Coach Stone again. Anyone who watches my podcast probably knows it by heart by now. And just maybe recap quickly your last year. It was a historic season. You had a great season, and then maybe tell us, who you lost and a little bit about this summer. So you want to go first, Coach Stone?
Sure. I'm Coach Stone. This is I'm about to start my 15th year at Madison.
Wow.
Yeah. I played for Coach Priester. No. I went to Madison. I, finished a great season with getting our 3rd state championship, but I also graduated 8 seniors. Wow. So so we'll be in the rebuilding stage, and that's, my girls are off to college and they're sending me texts with their dorm room pictures, and I'm at home crying.
Did most of the girls, the seniors, did they get opportunities to play at the next level?
Some of them chose not to. So I have 4 going to play. Brown, Gettysburg, Dickinson, and McDaniel. I actually had a player who didn't get a lot of playing time for me and only played 1 year for me, and she's going to play D3 basketball.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is something we can talk about later, but as a parent of a son who just finished playing lots of soccer in high school and also years of travel, it is amazing how tough it is to get opportunities at the next level. So I'm interested in hearing, what it's like on the female side. My guess is it's probably almost as competitive. Maybe I do, at least in the paper in soccer, a lot of girls are playing Division I soccer as opposed to very few boys are playing, but we'll get to that. Coach, how did your summer league go with your girls that are replacing the seniors?
So I don't do summer league. I give them, so I let them do their AAU, and I found that summer league for me was more work, and they didn't really want to do it. And so they all play AAU and they all do their training. And so I don't see them until fall. And then we start workouts after Labor Day.
Wow. Yeah. So I think you're probably on an island in that regard, right? Because there's a lot of, so you guys are in agreement about summer leagues. Yeah.
Yeah, they need a break.
Go off and vacation in the AAU. It's just better to let them have their time and get my time as well.
Wow. I think it's great.
Well, Fred started one this summer, so there might be a resurgence of it as their, enthusiasm adjusts.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll talk briefly about that. I don't want to talk out of order here.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and talk about that if you don't mind? Yeah.
Well, one of the things is that, first of all, going way back, and I'm looking here, and Kirsten did play AAU for me. She left Oakton before I got there. Amanda, I believe you were at a couple of my camps. Weren't you down at Longwood?
Yeah, I went to Longwood.
Yeah, she's down at my camp. Devaughn, I don't know about you, brother. But Noel, of course, was an assistant of mine. So, I'm very proud of all these people, but Devaughn's a friend, so I'm proud of all of them. But, I have been around for a while, and Summer League used to be good for girls. Back when Kirsten was playing for sure, we went over to Falls Church Rec Center and we played games there and at George Mason. And it was a pretty solid group, and the kids worked their AAU around it. But, I listened to part of your podcast with the boys, and I was kind of thinking to myself, wow, that's really different from the girls, because mostly girls are playing, and we call it AAU generically, but it's travel, club, whatever, whatever moniker they put on it. But the girls are out there playing. Now, what we did this year was we sort of tried to reinstitute a little bit, and we tried to run a little league from about the end of the Rising Freshman League, which was mid-May, until the end of June. 6 games, 6 weeks. And we had 9 teams, and it was late getting put together because the paperwork is, oh my God. Okay. But anyway, we put it together with a really small margin for the Coach Association. So we made, I think, a couple $100 on it, whatever. But the idea was to see if it was a legit possibility moving forward. And I think that what I heard from the parents and the kids was very positive. Number one, they got to play with their high school teammates as opposed to their AAU teammates, and that's sometimes is a crossover there. But it's a Venn diagram. Sometimes there's some crossover in there. But so they got to do that. Secondly, the parents loved it because they got to go in the gym and watch their kids play with their high school teammates, and we didn't charge them a dime. They're used to paying $50 a weekend to watch their kids play. It was really informal. We had the group we had that did the officiating was great. And they, we had some times when some people couldn't show up, or whatever. We just said, hey, we'll give you 2, you give us 2. It was organized pickup, and it was really good. And the kids really loved it. So we're going to take a crack at it again next year. We'll see if we can get a few more teams organized. Hopefully going to be able to have the Oakton gym back finally. And we might be able to run some games there. And props to Liz Reed and Bill Gibson for helping us out with gym space. And I think it can work out. I think if the kids know a little bit more in advance. I mean, as it was, we had kids that were, I know Devaughn wanted to put a team in, but then it just didn't work out, and that was not from him not trying. It was just his kids were already locked into things. And some of these AAU coaches, as you all know, they're like, I don't know, gurus or something. They can't, they'll say no to us before they'll say no to them. So that is, but I was happy with how it went. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a killer thing or we're going to go as back like the boys do back to that, but I do think it is another opportunity.
Why is it so different? Like, in the boys coaches podcast, some of the teams have 2 different leagues, like Woodson, and those kids are playing AAU as well. They have the live periods where some of the coaches, I'm not even sure if it's legal, but they went and put their teams in live and got really college exposure, which I think is amazing. But the summer league is very important to what they do. Why the contrast? Why is it so different in the girls' game than the boys' game?
I think our kids we're multi-sport athletes, and we've been promoting that for several years, almost to our demise. And, we need 5 kids and the other teams need, usually 11, 9 or 11. And then they feel compelled to go where they're needed more. Cause if you only have 7 in a soccer game, then, you forfeit. And I think that they think that maybe it's easier for us to cover 5, but it's hard because you also have to balance. A lot of the girls are trying to find jobs. They're doing internships. They're going on vacation all over the world. All over the world. So, it's pretty tough to compete with Tahiti.
Yeah, for sure. I said, go, have fun.
Which is why it's so much work for us, because we'll show up and we'll recruit, and then it just seems like we're nagging, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
So, when the kids are like, oh, they want me to go again, that just makes them not look forward to it. So taking the time off and letting them do their chosen AAU, and then, I go and try and watch them when I can for an AAU game, then we can support them and keep up the friendly side in the off season.
I also think that, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead, Coach.
I also think that girls are different because girls make it as freshmen more often than boys, right?
Right.
So the teams they've already weeded themselves out more than boys, whereas, boys are trying to make it as juniors, and their pure numbers are more. I watched the boys try out, and, he has 40 to my 15, and I'm moving kids around a little bit. So I think a lot of it's that there's that need to show the coach still. Whereas with girls, there are less numbers and they already know where they stand a lot of times.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, is it a matter of like, can the lesser players, the lesser varsity players, can they still get AAU teams if they want to? Like, obviously when I played, I'm almost as old as Coach Priester down there. AAU was only for the very elite players. And so if you were, I played varsity, I started, but there was no AAU team for me. So if there's no summer league team for you, and you're a starter at Westfield High School or Langley High School, can you still find an AAU team if you're not like a Division I or even a Division III prospect?
Well,
Yes.
Back in the day, I'm sorry, Devaughn.
No problem.
But no, just real quick, just 2 sentences.
Mhm.
Back in the day, sorry, Kirsten, back in the day, the best players played, okay? And the thing is, now, if you got the money, there's a team for you.
Okay.
There's a team for you, and they will, and you'll get whatever that experience will buy you, okay? All right, so I'm sorry, Devaughn, go ahead.
No problem. I agree with what Fred just said. It is a place for you because your parent can probably cut a check for you to play somewhere. I don't know if it's that way on the boys' side. I'm sure it is. But on the girls' side, there's definitely a place for you to play, which is ultimately what it's about. Now, whether your experience is going to be good according to the organization, perhaps that may differ. On the girls' side in particular, I think it also matters what school you go to, because Yorktown girls' soccer is top of the top.
Yeah.
So if I'm asking a kid to come to summer league and there's club soccer practice, sorry, summer league.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of, you had to learn the way of the land, but it is more of a things pulling them away. I think on the girls' side than per se the boys. And the boys are just crazy enough. They'll run around and go to all of them all in one day if they could too.
Yeah, there's also girls lacrosse at Yorktown as well. That's crazy good. But I think they won state as well.
Yep.
Well, I have a friend of mine, his name Jason Coleman. His son Gibraltar played at West Springfield, now Flint Hill. And it's interesting because when he plays with his summer league team, he touches the ball a lot. He's a focal point of the team. When he plays AAU, it's hard to even get your shots off. So you're a different player when you play the AAU team than you play with your high school team when you have a defined role. And obviously during summer, that defined role might be changing as you graduate some and get new players. But you could be a different player. But maybe, as Coach Stone said, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good to get a new experience. Maybe it's good not to be the focal point for a summer, and you come back, with different experiences that you can build on and for your high school team. So
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, let's finish the introductions. Coach Klippenstein, why don't you reintroduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and about your season last year, and maybe some of your personnel shifts.
So we also graduated 8 seniors, and coming out of COVID, we had really good, kids. And then last year, one of the struggles that we had was one game out of 22, did we have all 5 starters? We had injuries galore, concussions, ankles, etc. And then a little bit of COVID, but that was inherently frustrating because from beginning to end, we had somebody on the concussion protocol the whole season. So we just met with the returning varsity kids the other day and are starting to plan. And it was exciting to see the leadership willing to take over. I think they realize now it's their team instead of, the group that's been there for a couple years, and they are just so excited. And so then we had our little barbecue at the school where about 1,500 people attended, and it was to get everybody involved in the activities at our school. And the kids said, can we make the posters? Yes. Can we do the Google form? Yes. They did everything top to bottom, and then they helped recruit the kids, and they were so excited about it that, I think that's just really the thing, is that a new year that starting to feel like there's not a COVID issue. We're starting to feel like it's back to normal. Just looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Coach Amanda, how about you? You guys had a wonderful season. You got deep into the postseason. Why don't you? It's funny. I actually found a picture of you, and on the Forest Park program from 2004. I posted it on Facebook, and also it was interesting. I was at a soccer game watching Coach Bo, crazy Coach Bo, the Langley boys team, and one of your players came up to me and said, "Hey, you did a interview with my coach." And it was really cute. I forgot her name, but she was very polite and very nice. But why don't you give us quickly your background again and a little bit about your past season?
Sure. I just finished year 11, so going on year 12 at Langley this winter. Had a really fun season this past year. Another 4-year point guard or 4-year starting point guard has just left. So A.B. Holsinger has moved on to Gettysburg, and that's a huge milestone when you lose a floor general like that after putting so much time and effort into them. But it was so rewarding to kind of see her career come to conclusion. She was surrounded by a bunch of other really talented seniors. So expectations were pretty high last year internally. And I feel like we did well, and I was proud of them, and they won a lot of games. So it was a great experience. But that being said, we're losing a ton of seniors. We're losing almost all of our scoring. So it'll be really interesting to fill in gaps. That's always a fun challenge each year. And as the other coaches on the panel know, when you lose a huge crop of key contributors, that next season's like a chess match of just constantly trying to figure out, how do I make this work with these new people? And the Rising 9th grade league was very illuminating. Got to see some, real potential for varsity candidates already. And that's exciting. I've got a player that's a 9th grader now who's I coached her sister many years ago. So it's kind of fun to have that circle starting again. And she's a potential point guard I'm really excited about. So it's just a lot of unknowns, but a lot of potential is the word I'll keep saying. So looking forward to the winter.
Well, that's great, Coach. Well, one thing about the girls' game is that you're more likely to have middle school players come in and have an impact than you will on the boys. The boys, generally, if you're a sophomore starting varsity, that's an achievement. But it's not, as Coach Amanda just said, and I think Coach Stone alluded to it earlier, it's not unheard of to have 4-year starters in the girls' game. So you'll often, you'll get a player from middle school that's ready to be inserted right into the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's happened twice with us. Jordan Callahan was a 4-year starting point guard. She played for Fred also, and then AB. So if we could do that again, that would be crazy, but it would be fun.
Yeah.
Building her again, a new point guard.
Exactly. Well, they're going to make you earn your money this year. They're going to make you earn that big check. So, well, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Priester, how about you? We did talk on a one-on-one. I enjoyed immensely. But why don't you give quickly your background? I think, if I can remember correctly, either Mount Vernon, New York, or Yonkers, New York, and a little bit about your season last year. You guys had another a decent postseason run, not as maybe as good as some of the ones you've had in the past, but definitely a good team.
Well, yeah, I thought we did. We had this kid dropped at one falling out of bounds with about 30 seconds to go, a 3-pointer from out of bounds. She wasn't out of bounds, but she might as well have been.
Yeah.
As soon as I left her hand, I turned, I said, that's in.
Yeah.
As soon as I left her hand, I knew it was in. Before it ever, we came down, we got that, we had a shot to tie it. I think we missed a free throw or something like that.
Coach, who's that against again? I forgot who you guys lost to.
We lost one.
Oh, you lost to Langley? You lost to Yorktown?
No,
Yorktown.
It was Langley.
Oh, it was Langley. Okay.
Langley. We did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we played Yorktown like first game of the season. And
Okay, gotcha.
I saw them on film, but after that. But anyway, this is, I kind of lose track. I think this is 28 or 29 years at Oakton and 14 years at McLean before that. So, you know, I still love it. I still am excited about the season. You know, our demographic at Oakton has changed a bit, and you know, so that presents new challenges. The other day, this will be a name some of you will recognize. It was Brooke Parker's birthday, and so up pops the picture of my 1999 team on Facebook, and I sat there and I looked at it and I said, and this is swear to God, 6 Division I players, 6 on my team. 2 Division III players and a Division II player.
Ooh.
Now last year I had no players that could go forward. And so very much like my early McLean days, I feel like we are having to work really hard to build players, and we rebuild with seniors every year. So kids that have just scraped and scraped and scraped and scraped and scraped, and now it's their turn, you know. But the good news about it is I really like my team. They are really fun, and they're fun to coach. And, you know, we'll be okay. You know, we'll come up with a few wrinkles somewhere along the line. And but, you know, we had a good season last year. I think most people would have been surprised. I mean, if there wasn't this neighboring school, we lost 5 games, lost 3 to them, I think, or 4. I don't know. It seemed like every time we lost, I'd say, "Oh, we playing Matt." Oh, those guys. Anyway, but you know, so we did okay. I mean, we lost them to Amanda. We lost, I think, 3 times to Madison. I don't even remember who the last one was, but we won 19 games, so you know, can't really complain about that. You know, it's a different world, you know, and so we have a different group kind of kids, and so then it's my job to, as a coach, to do the best I can with what I got. You know, coach the kids to show up.
I love your team. Your stuff is going to be a long season if you don't. Well, Coach, did you mention how many you lost graduation?
We lost 4. I mean, we lost our leading scorer and our catalyst. Sort of this little girl that you wouldn't even notice if she was if you didn't pay attention. You know, nails. I got to say her name, Sophie Zinzi.
Yes.
And you know, she was well, she wound up being a starting point guard for us for 4 years, primarily because the 2 kids who were supposed to be the point guards went to Paul VI. So so she just jumped in there, and really after about the 3rd game of her freshman year, pretty much started all the way through. And she became a little bit more of a scoring threat her senior year, but great kid, fabulous kid. Love her family. And I mean, I think that's the kind of kids I got. They're great kids. I enjoy coaching them, and you know, we let the results, you know, they'll take care of themselves. The results will take care of themselves.
Yeah, I think I met her father at a game. Nice guy. And I think her and her boyfriend are probably, if there's a couple, the best point guard couple in the area, her and Bo Kublank together would probably win the award of the best point guard couple. So anyway, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Drayton, I mean, you coach at everyone's favorite school, Yorktown, and you know we desire excellence, and you delivered. So you've had a great run there. Why don't you introduce yourself? Some folks might not know who you are. Maybe tell your background. I understand from Coach Bentley, you're a South Arlington guy, and tell us a little bit about your season last year.
Yes, I'm Devaughn Drayton, born and raised in Green Valley, South Arlington, Virginia. I am a Warrior by blood. I graduated from Wakefield. Played under Coach Belgian. Had a great experience. Yes, played under Coach Belgian and Coach Tom. Actually still running, you know, implementing some of the things that I was taught between the lines by them. So shout out to them and the Warrior Nation for actually instilling quality basketball into the heart and the mind. You know, I've been at Yorktown, I believe 11 or 12 years. As the head coach, I was a varsity assistant for 3 years, and then been the head coach. And, you know, we've kind of been up and down. We were the team, or the school, the 3 Arlington schools were impacted by the whole shift of the redistricting and all of that. It was one year where I was half National District, half Liberty District, and I played only Washington League twice. Everyone else I played once in a year. So we kind of had to figure out our way. The Liberty, I call it murderer's row, because if you can make it out of the Liberty, then you're able to compete on a bigger scale. And last year was our year. I guess COVID kind of impacted things. We graduated 3 out of our 12 seniors this year, so we'll be returning 9 this year. Our leading scorer was Anna Bornagle, who led us in scoring and rebounding, and the kid just worked hard. So all of our achievements this year starts with what the kid put in on the court, in the weight room, on the track, organizing COVID workouts. She did it all. So for her to actually get the result, for us winning the first girls basketball conference championship in school history was actually a huge accomplishment for Anna being a senior and the other seniors we had, but also for the school. Is actually a very proud moment for us. We kind of have a unique situation. I try and find the best kids that play other sports that happen to also play basketball. So I have softball players, volleyball players, soccer players, and I find out who can actually shoot and dribble and say, okay, welcome to Yorktown girls basketball. So, we've been working hard. Last year I played everyone that's on the panel. Fred early on, then we saw Madison, and of course we deal with Langley every year. And then we play Westfield in the regional. So no matter what, we get a great test. I had someone looked at my schedule last year, was like, you think you need to add some tougher competition? I said, you might want to look at my schedule again. Do you see who it is that I'm actually playing? So we've been battle tested, and we'll see the same teams this year. So we'll be ready to go this year. Thankfully, we'll have a lot of kids returning, and everybody here will tell you if there's ever an award for the youngest team in a region, Yorktown's probably going to be it. Because yes, I absolutely play freshmen on varsity. If you come in and put in the work, you definitely have an opportunity to play as a freshman on varsity at Yorktown. Sometimes that doesn't lead to wins because you're running up against teams with 8 seniors and the 2 spectacular twins, and the kids think that they're fast, and those twins run past them and go, oh, that's really fast. Yeah, welcome to varsity basketball. But, the kids are great. I love my team. I love my parents, love the administration, tons of support. So last year kind of was everything put together because everything clicked from academically, and we had a slight COVID scare, only 2 kids in actually 2 years came down with COVID during season. Then Arlington was put on a pause last year. So that was a little different. And, my kids had additional challenge because my team chose to play in mass last year without being required. So that was also an additional challenge for us to have to overcome. But, we actually made it, and thankfully everybody made it safe, and we had a good time and everybody had fun. That's all that mattered.
I'm not used to this. I'm on with a bunch of coaches that like their job, like the parents, like their school. And this is usually not the kind of panel that I have. So this is going to be interesting tonight. Well, Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So let's start off with what we just mentioned about specialization and multi-sport athletes. So I did a podcast with Mason Cunningham, Coach Drayton, and he was all district in 3 sports at Yorktown. He was a teammate of my son in soccer. He's playing football at Hampton-Sydney. And he's also a basketball player, MVP of the basketball team. So he's unbelievable and I asked him, did you play against the same players in any other different sports? Because in an earlier podcast I did with a guy who played, and Coach Priester will know, Coach Mark Cox, who played at Annandale. He said, if I lost to a player in football, we get him back in basketball. If we lost to a player in basketball, we get him back in baseball.
Yeah.
But those days are over. And I asked Mason, did he play with anyone in the different sports? He said, not really. Maybe one or 2 guys who play 2 sports, but no one played 3 sports. It was very rare for a guy to do that. So do you guys find that your best players are multi-sport athletes? Do you encourage your players to play as many sports as possible? Or like the boys game, I mean, most of those players are playing basketball, 12 months a year, full time. I mean, it's a grind. They have personal trainers, they have strength trainers, AAU, summer league. So what do you guys feel about the multi-sport athlete and specialization?
For me, I welcome it, but it can cause a headache because of that. You welcome it. You may be in the gym sometime with 3 kids, and all of them are freshman basketball players, not your starting point guard, your starting 2 guard, and your starting 3 guard, who you want to get the reps up so they can actually put the work in. The freshmen need the work, but you know, when you get in the gym, you're expecting to see your varsity kids there. I'm lucky this year to have a super athlete by the name of Olivia Stafford. She was a 5-sport athlete this year, and she did not play soccer. She's on an elite soccer team and did not play soccer for Yorktown. So she went to states in track, went to states in field hockey, went to states in lacrosse,
Wow.
won the district championship in basketball, and then played soccer on an elite soccer club. So I embrace it. It's actually kind of helped even the playing field. You know, some teams you're just playing that's going to be better, but the more athleticism I've had, the better off that I've found that I've been personally.
Yeah. Anyone else want to try this?
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have a balance. About 5 years ago, Nikki McNamara graduated, and she was all-state field hockey, all-state lacrosse, and we had one of our best basketball seasons in years at Westfield. But we need a balance between the kids that are doing the multi-sport and then the other kids, so they can kind of carry the load in the off season, because the rules don't permit us to coach the kids in our green and yellow day workouts in Fairfax when they're in a season. So that's a tricky venture to try and get enough kids to be in the gym to warrant a workout and then actually help them. You know, it's hard to coach a kid that hasn't picked up the ball for 7 months. And so the other thing that we try to do is encourage them to do a personal fitness class so that they can at least get the strength building. And that makes a huge difference in trying to help. But there needs to be a core of kids that are basketball only. And then that makes room for the kids that are doing multi-sports to add that athleticism to really charge up your team.
And Coach, and your good friend, Coach Ewell, former coach at Westfield on the boys side, he loved multi-sport athletes because he felt like that the best players wouldn't leave his school for private school and basketball if they played football and other sports as well. So he actually encouraged it as a way to retain his best athletes. So
agreed. Yep, absolutely agree with that, because it makes, I mean, there's nothing better than coaching an athlete that's loyal to your program and loves your school.
Yeah.
Because when they're representing their school and they love it, they will dive on the floor and they will sacrifice like no other. And it builds the school pride, and it also brings students into the game, which makes the games more exciting.
Yeah.
I think that one of the problems is that a lot of the kids that do go to the trainers are, you know, they're in for, I'm not going to say they're all bad or anything like that, but I'm just saying they're trying to make a buck. So they're trying to, you know, make sure that that kid is playing as much basketball as they possibly can. I mean, there are certainly a few years back, I had Alex Marquise, who was a first team All-Met point guard, who was also a starter on the volleyball team, an all district there, and also all district in soccer. So Caroline Coyer played at the national level in soccer and basketball. You know, I have every kid on my team, but I don't have any just single kid that plays just basketball.
is that right? Wow.
I have one.
And the thing is that, you know, I mean, every time I schedule anything from a green day to, you know, trying to be in some league or do something like that, I just have to work with whoever shows up. You know, kids say, oh, well, I got, you know, so I got this. And it's not just school sports. It's you know, club stuff too. So all these kids that play soccer, that may play soccer in the spring, they also play fall club soccer. So I think it's a challenge. I think it's better for the kids overall. You know, I think that as human beings, they're better off doing that. But it doesn't always translate, as Devaughn said, into exactly what you want on the basketball.
And just a short example, Amanda will tell you, we were having a makeup game against Langley on a Saturday. My starting point guard, Olivia, she showed up. She came from a travel soccer game to the varsity basketball game. But it's pretty much, if I want the kid to play, it's what can you do? Because you know how much better you are if she's actually on the court, right? So it's tough on the girls' side. It really is.
Well, Coach Stone, since you've been called out here, I mean, if you look at your team from last year, I mean, physically they're very impressive athletes. You had size. I mean, I could see some volleyball players out there. Definitely the twins, just great athletes. I'm sure they can play any sport they wanted to play. Are most of those players multi-sport athletes?
The twins are not. The Arnold twins are only basketball players. I tried to get them to do track. They played volleyball their freshman year on varsity, and then they just didn't want to do it after that. Kira played varsity. Actually, Kira, my big girl too, also played her freshman year, and then chose not to. A couple of the mid-range players play soccer. Volleyball's tough now because I'm walking the halls now and we have all these tall kids and they're all volleyball players, but their club volleyball is winter now. So
good, let's keep them there.
Volleyball doesn't really share with basketball that much.
No.
At Oakton, we just have liberos though.
No. Yeah. So we don't. I have a couple. The Kashutas play lacrosse, so I have lacrosse and soccer. Every season, one of my starting two guard, Kayla Dixon, she has to miss a weekend to go play soccer. Yep. So, it is stuff that, when we grew up, it wouldn't happen. I want them to do sports. I mean, I played tennis at Oakton my freshman year, and then I never played again, and I always regret it. I probably would have been a better tennis player than I was basketball, but
What? You were a pretty good player, don't you?
So I don't know. So that, and yes, I don't do green days. We do workouts. We just do conditioning and lifting. So I green days are tough because academics too are so big. I don't know about you guys, but my kids are in like 5 or 6 AP classes and they've got tutoring and now they all have jobs. So it's like you're just pulling hairs.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
Oh, well, Coach Amanda, I know you have a lot of great athletes at Langley. Langley's good in a lot of sports like Yorktown. They're good at the rowing, the crew, the golf, the tennis, the lacrosse, the soccer. So do you have to fight with other sports for your athletes? And are you happy when they play other sports?
I don't typically have to fight a ton. I will say that any player in the last 11 years that was like an all district or an all region, all state player, they were primarily basketball. So I've had a lot of luck with those kids that were fully dedicated to basketball. The results paid off for them. But the kids that played multiple sports, they did provide a different element, a different edge. And one thing that always is kind of on the back of my mind, especially with those kids that play year round, is the likelihood of injury, just the overuse. And that's something that's on my mind constantly. Like, well, I hope they don't, hurt their knee or something blows out because they're playing so much basketball. So I kind of feel relief almost when they go and do something else. I'm like, all right, they're getting different reps, they're using different muscles, bit of a mental break. But again, it's hard to deny the fact that the kids that have had individual success at a high level at Langley have been year round. So balance is key. I think Noel said it. But for the kids that are really, really invested, you can still go and do a lot at the next level, but it does take probably that year-round effort to get there.
A great Langley story is the all-state player on the boys team, Amir. He is going to run off making national champion Division III. He was a great player, and after basketball was over, I don't think he had played soccer since he was a little kid, and Coach Bo Amato talked him into playing goalie on the soccer team. They had a really good team, but the goalie was a position that could need a little bit of help. And they ended up winning the state title in soccer, and Amir was the starting goalie. So it was just a great story. And his basketball career was over in terms of high school. And why not? Let's just give soccer a try. And it worked out in spectacular fashion. So
I had a senior do that. Paige Galliani was all basketball. And then when we finished her senior season, she's like, I'm going to go play soccer. And they didn't win states, but it was really cool. I went and watched her, and it was just kind of fun to see her in a different uniform.
yeah.
Then Zinzi was all region, I believe, in lacrosse, and led our lacrosse team. And we've had a bunch of kids that have never picked up a lacrosse stick until midway through their junior year. And they go out there and they're all district because there's a lot of similarities, and they understand keeping their body between the ball and the net. And you know, I talked to Cindy Hook, who was a great lacrosse coach at Annandale and field hockey coach. And she said she loved having basketball players because they just want to reach with their stick. They want to move their feet and stuff like that. So lacrosse is still getting a lot of kids where the lacrosse coach would come up to me and say, hey, are you cutting anybody?
Well, coach, everybody wants basketball players. I mean, they have good size, they have good hand-eye, they have, athletic. I mean, what's wrong with a basketball player in almost any sport?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, look, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is recruiting. We brush upon this on your introductions. I know, Madison had an incredible team last year, and it sounds like some of those girls aren't even playing at the next level. Not that they have to, but in my own son's case, as I said before, it was just amazing how many of these players that him and the guys that he grew up with and played with, how many of their careers just ended. Your whole lives were spent playing soccer for the last almost 10 years, and how it comes to an abrupt end once the high school's over. I don't even think they knew that this is going to happen. I don't think they knew going into their senior year that they would not play at the next level. But then once they start getting college acceptances and they realized they had to make major sacrifices, they wanted to play sports at the next level, almost all of them decided not to play. So what is the environment for girl basketball players at the next level? Are they getting opportunities? Or are there a lot of the girls that played last year playing Division I? So what generally is the environment?
One of the things, if I could jump right in, because I have a fairly good understanding of this whole thing, that the transfer portal at the college level has had a massive impact. I think, and I don't know this for a fact, I'm just going to take a guess that one of the either or both of the Arnolis, because Elena played great at the end there, even better than she was playing before. They did not get the opportunities because everybody is using the portal. There's 1,000 basketball players in the portal right now. Why would you take a kid, if you're a college coach, why would you take a kid who's just coming out of high school, doesn't even know how to tie their shoes because their parents been doing it, and when they can take a kid who's already played for 2 years in college, knows a little something, they can scout them, they got film, they see how they react in the college situation, and they can plug them in for 2 years at their school. Amaka Gugwa, who played at Oakton and is now the new coach at UVA, when she came into, I don't think I'm telling anything out of line, but she came in. There were some kids that were on the roster that she wasn't sure whether they would be able to contribute in the way that she wanted to. She had sit downs with all of them. They all practically jumped into the portal. She didn't have to say, hey, I don't know. They jumped into the portal, an opportunity for them to go someplace else. And then she filled with kids from the portal. And so she had like 4 or 5 spots or something like that. And she only brought in like 1 or 2 freshmen. So now I'm not speaking from any real knowledge here, but a player of the level of the Arnolis, got to say it right, Arnolis, they'll have a better chance to move up in 2 years.
Yeah. So the portal's affecting Division III opportunities as well as Division I, and I guess 2.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, there's people that don't get to a Division I school. They filter down. When my son played baseball at Lynchburg College in Division III, every year, including his senior year when he was supposed to be the starter, someone came down from D1 and took his spot.
Wow.
Yeah. So I talked to the Emory women's soccer coach, it's Division III, Sue Pattenberg. I went to high school with Sue. And she described the portal as, she didn't use these words, and I wouldn't know because I'm a married guy, but it was like Match.com. She go into this portal and it's just lunacy in there. There's all this stuff. Everyone's available. People want to come and they want to go. And she was very frustrated by it. She thinks it's a hard way to find people because it's the wild, wild west. But, I guess it's here to stay. And I think it does create a lot of noise, and maybe it takes people's eye off the ball. Again, the Arnold, those are incredible players. I can't imagine them not being Division I players, but I guess I've been out of the game for a while. maybe there's like a lot of players like that.
And to speak up, I mean, they had a lot of offers, but they are very grounded girls. And educationally, they wanted the best school educationally. They weren't thinking WNBA. And you also think COVID got in the way because they didn't play AAU their sophomore year, right? They chose to not play when COVID hit. So they set that whole summer off and then played high school junior year and then had to jump in. And so I think that, but yeah, they also, for all of my top kids, I think that the joy of playing college basketball is very different. I think that they want a good education, and because they are those single sport, there's a lot of pressure from families and, getting that scholarship, and they just don't want that anymore. They want it to be fun. And I think they found the school that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, all the exposure they got, they played at the state tournament twice. They
they had lots of offers.
It's not like everyone knew how great they were. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they had plenty of D1 offers. I think that they wanted to find the best school that fit them educationally.
Yeah, that was the same thing I was talking about with my son and his friends. Is they would have to make sacrifices if they wanted to play sports at the next level. Which is, it sounds like you would think sports would actually open doors for you. But instead, what it's doing, it's if you choose to play, you're either going to school you might not want to go academically, or you're making sacrifices otherwise. Anyone else want to jump in here? Or?
No, I want to get a commercial in here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
For about 20 years, the Coaches Association has run a showcase, a college showcase. And when we initially started it, we were battling with the big boys. We had Division I in here, but then the NCAA kept changing their rules, making it down to one weekend. So you had to fight with them and all this stuff like that. And we managed to pull it off with Division I for maybe about 8 or 10 years, maybe even more than that, maybe 12 years. And then over the last 5 or 6 years, we have narrowed it down to Division III and NAIA. And I know that there are any number of kids who were able to match up and get themselves locked in based on that. Not just that, but that was another piece of their pie. Anyway, the last one we ran was in 2019. It was at Robinson. We only had about 43 or 44 kids, and we had been averaging about 80 or 90 kids and about 20 or 30 coaches. So we had, I think, 40 kids and about 16 or 17 coaches. Anyway, here's the commercial part. The coaches don't even know this because I'm frantically putting together a mail out that I'm going to do right after this. We're having it back September 25th at Fairfax High School. We've got that all lined up, and we're going to be, I'm sending out to 150 college coaches in hopes that we'll get 30 or 40. But it's a great opportunity, not only for now, like some of the seniors have already gotten an opportunity to sort of lock in. I just was working with some of my AAU kids to help them get locked in. But, for younger kids, sophomores and juniors, it's a great opportunity to get on people's radar. So, we're hoping to get that back and up and running. And as I said, I've got everything's ready to go. I just actually was finishing up with about 80 coaches that I am directly going right to their email and stuff like that. The rest are going out through the mail and through Instagram and things like that. So anyway, that's a little commercial there for all of you guys, so you can start talking to your kids about that.
That sounds great, Coach. Anyone else want to talk about recruiting, or do you want to move on to the next one? So one thing we talked about with the boys, and this is maybe a delicate subject, is coaches' compensation. We talked offline a little bit that we are losing a lot of coaches. Like Prince William County's lost a whole bunch of coaches in the offseason. A lot of great leaders, coaches don't want to do it anymore for various reasons. And I think it's kind of a shame. I know that most of my memories of high school that involve role models or coaches, because you just spend a lot more time with your coaches than you do with your teachers. I've had some great teachers too, but you might not remember them quite as much as you remember the coaches. So, I mean, some of the things the coaches said to me, I did a podcast with my coach, Coach McKay, one of the funniest human beings alive. You know, I still think about those things today. And it's so important to me to have these great leaders like yourselves with the players. But, you know, the compensation is not the best. I mean, obviously you guys don't do it for the money. It's only a small part of your take home. How do you guys feel about that? I didn't set out to make that a topic on the last boys panel, but it became a topic because I guess some of the guys felt like, you know, it's really gotten a little bit unfortunate in that the compensation for coaching is so small that a lot of coaches are choosing not to do it anymore. Does anyone have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I'd like to go. 3 years ago, Fairfax County, Bill Curran's DSS, he set up a committee and Dick Adams led it. And they want to talk about all coaches and how to retain coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought 20 coaches that were 3 years and under with experience and 20 coaches that were a lot of experience and tried to hit different sports, male and female across the board. And this committee was overwhelmingly impactful in being able to say what the problems were and why would we not be retained, and some of the things that they can't control, like, you know, how do you deal with issues when you're not getting support, or, you know, that kind of thing. And all the coaches here have expressed how positive they are with their kids and their families and their administrators. But compensation, I mean, I don't know that people realize that, you know, maybe we get paid $2,000 for the season, maybe. And it's different for different seasons. And then so the sports teams that work in August get a little bit different stipend. I don't know that people realize, and I think that they think that we get paid a lot because we wear gear. But the deal is we get gear, and it's gear that looks cool on the kids, not necessarily cool on us. So when you kind of put it all together, you're like, I don't know if this is all that it's cracked up to be, but I can tell you that the number one reason I coach is because I get to influence children so that they can do more than they think they can. And if we can do it collectively, it's extraordinary. And I have rarely had an amazing natural talent, but I have had amazing assistant coaches, and I've worked with amazing people over the years and had excellent mentor coaches. So the whole experience has been really good, and that's all internal. And so when I interview a new coach, one of the questions is, are you okay with getting rich slow scheme? Because you're not getting paid much.
Or never.
Yeah. So that's really the bottom line, is that I don't know that Fairfax will ever change, but and if we coach AAU, a lot of that's volunteer too.
Is that right? I thought AAU was a chance to make a little bit of money, but it's not the case.
Not at all.
Different sports.
Other
sports
said
get
if I
paid.
didn't coach AAU, we'd live in a better house.
Oh man.
I mean, me being from Arlington, first of all, I apologize for all my Fairfax counterparts for you all barely making $2,000. I have to say, Arlington, we get paid much more than $2,000. I actually get paid enough that doesn't pay any bills. But for what I get, in order for me to add an assistant, I have to take part of my stipend to give to that assistant. And the trick is, if you work for the school system, they combine it with your regular pay. So you're actually bringing home about $2,000 to bring that all around. But none of us do this for money. Yes, it's great. You know, I coach for one reason, because the impact that my coaches had on me growing up in South Arlington. I grew up around in the sports community, and my mom trusted me with the coaches because of what they represent and the impact that she knew what they were going to make in my life. Coach Bob Veldrin, Wakefield legend, he instilled things in me like early is on time is late, late is gone. I'm paranoid about being on time because of Coach Bob Veldrin, but that has made me a better person, make me a better professional for life. So those are the reasons why I do it. But hey, when you're taking time away from your family, it does help to put something in your pocket besides gas money, which is the price of gas. You never know what that's going to be. That may be where it all goes to, but we love doing it. But yeah, pay could definitely be beneficial. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's like, Friday Night Lights, you watch the movie and the football coach in, a Texas school will make $100,000 just to coach football. And, Coach Amanda, you're at Langley. They can afford $100,000 for a basketball coach easy. So it would at least be nice if, it doesn't have to be $100,000, but it does seem that it could be commensurate with the level of effort and the effect you have on the kids. I just think it could be a little bit more. But maybe if it was a little bit more, it still wouldn't make a difference because it still wouldn't be enough. I mean, it still wouldn't make an hourly dent on what the effort you guys put in anyway. Maybe that's why they don't do anything.
And it's also based on like first year's teacher salaries pay. In Arlington, our coaching pay is a percentage of a first year teacher's salary. So that's set in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Coach Amanda, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, more money would be great. Obviously, I'm not gonna turn it away, but it's got to come from somewhere, and I don't want to take it from something that needs it. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy doing this job with what they're giving us. And I don't want to sound like holier than thou, but to agree with the other coaches, like we're not doing it for the money.
Right.
So if it showed up, I'm not gonna turn it away, but I definitely don't want to take it from teachers or from arts or whatever it's gonna be. Like, it's got to come from somewhere. And until that's figured out in a way that it's not going to negatively impact something else, I just don't see the need to make a big fuss about it. I'm happy doing it. And I think there's a purity that comes with it too, where wins and losses, they happen, we can learn from them, we can move on. And there's not the pressure of like, well, I'm getting paid to do this. And my happiness depends on this. My well-being depends on this. It's added bonus of kind of life experience. So
hey, just a quick,
things are.
Just a quick reference. I had the pleasure of hearing one of the greatest halftime speeches that I've ever heard in my life until I didn't hear anymore. And it was Professor Priester. And I believe we were at Centerville in the weight room and the girls were not playing particularly well. And at that time we had 5 assistant coaches that were in that room. And he said to the girls, I do not get paid 9 cents an hour to watch you girls play the way you're playing. And when he said that, I don't remember what he said after that. We all looked at each other and started trying to figure out, was it really 9 cents an hour? And he had to like pump us up to get back on the court second half because he lost us all at 9 cents an hour.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. Francis Dahl, who was at, some of you remember Francis, he tried desperately to get through some, I don't know, guidelines or something along, because I mean, I don't think about this at all because I'm the lowest paid coach on my staff. Okay. I pay as much as I can. The minimum that I can pay that they'll let me pay myself is $100. And that's what I take. All the rest of the money I divide up and give to my, like this year we'll have 7 assistants. Okay. 2 freshmen, 2 on freshmen, 2 on JV, and then 3 on varsity. And so I just, I give them the money because I don't, but he said, one of the things that he put into his was, and we're all pretty veteran coaches here, and I don't know where he broke it down or anything like that. I mean, if someone comes in and gets a job tomorrow, they make the same amount as anybody here. I mean, the stipend is the same. And that's actually, Noel, it's about 4,000 because, or maybe, Kirsten, you probably know, maybe 4,500, but then 36 and 36 is something like about 12 grand for however many coaches you've got, I think if they're going to address compensation, maybe some sort of a tiered scale where after 5 years, you maybe bump up, I don't know, a couple $100 or something like that. It's just some nod to the fact that we've all been fighting the wars for a long time, and so maybe lasting that out ought to be something that's worthwhile. But then, like I say, I think that none of us are doing it for the money. Believe me, I'm not doing it for the money. and no one here is. So I think mostly it would be the principle of the thing. If they wanted to raise compensation, it would allow us to, I mean, I spend money on my kids, I donut man on Saturdays. I spend whatever I make, let's put it that way. And I know everybody else does too.
Well, Coach, if you really want more money, you better hide that nice china closet because it's out there for the whole world to see. And I like what Coach Amanda said about purity, because I remember thinking about this. These coaches, I remember Don McCool was a legendary men's boys basketball coach, and he won state championships. He won one at West Springfield, and he won numerous regional championships. And he also taught other coaches how to coach. I mean, his tree under him was incredible. But I remember he worked so hard. I mean, he's in the gym all the time. This guy worked so hard. And some of the coaches really worked really hard, but they all got paid the same. As long as you kept your job, it didn't matter how many games you won or how hard you worked. Everyone was paid the same. And I always thought it was fascinating that some guys would work their butts off around the clock. And other guys, they may have a 500 record or whatever, and they're just as happy because the pay is the same. It doesn't matter what your record, like in college, you have to, it's definitely a competition or you lose your job. But the high school, it's pure. It's just about how much you want to work and how, what you want to get out of it. But look, so since this is a real complaining bunch, you guys generally are happy with what you're doing. If you had to have a wish list and it wasn't money, what could make your job better, and what would help make it easier for you to have a more profound effect on the girls and on your teams? What are things that we could do to help coaches?
I always felt as a young teacher, it was like you have to earn these points, right, for recertification.
Mhm.
And when you teach in the building, I've never had the points, like, because you don't have time to do all the, meetings or leads. And so I always thought and I think, maybe I'm wrong, but for girls, it's really nice when you're in the building. They cry in my office. I mean, they're just with you all the time.
Mhm.
And so to get more teachers to coach, offer things like points or, maybe a lighter schedule. I don't know, something where you can get more teachers to be more involved in after school things. I don't know how they would do it, but
I think it's a great idea.
yeah.
You would trade some free time,
Yeah.
to have some more free time to help you get your lesson plan or your practice plan together.
Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned Texas. I got to tell you that when I went down there for AAU one time, I had a lot of time and I spent a lot of time talking to people down there. Down in Texas, even for girls basketball, you get hired to coach basketball. Your first period class is freshman basketball. Your second class is basketball. Your third period class is varsity basketball. And then your fourth, fifth, and sixth period class are study hall to make sure that those kids are doing the things right, which probably is held in the gym. Now, on the other hand, no purity there, Amanda, because you win.
You better win.
You better win. This is Texas.
They told me, and they had 6 gyms at every school. 6.
Yeah.
Wow. You could have PE class. You could have somebody doing. You have them on the gun for.
Anyone else have a wish list or things they could do to make your jobs easier or make it easier for you to?
Well, in general, I just wish coaches were actually valued and appreciated, especially at the school level. Like I said, I give my credit to my administration. Our administration does a really good job of making sports co-curricular, not extracurricular. So the expectation of the things that a teacher teaches in biology class are the same expectations that we have in character building and other things that are taught between the lines. But I also, if there's one wish, I would wish that coaches like a Diane Lewis have the opportunity to coach and not be dismissed easily.
Yeah.
Because for what she means beyond the lines.
Mhm.
So everything that you've invested into between the lines, you have to look at what the person brings to the school community and actually value that more. And one other thing that I wish is, and Fred being the other gentleman, and I'm not sure how many male coaches we have, but I actually want to see more female coaches on the girls' side, more so than I just want to promote a lot of female sports and female coaches. I salute to you all. I'm a girl dad. So now as the world opens up to her, she's a teenager and she goes on to her path. I kind of feel obligated to actually make my voice known to actually put women in more leadership positions. Because I actually think that's going to make the world better and actually shape a lot more young ladies to do so much more things than I possibly imagined. So I'm just really hope that schools just actually put their best foot forward into embracing what coaches bring, because we do a lot more than just win games and bring money to the booster clubs and the snack bar.
Yeah.
I agree, man. I all 7 of my assistants are females. So, and I actually did the numbers. I think, Kirsten, we were talking about that one day. I think, and I was just looking around here to see if I had my current list, but I think of the 30 schools, I want to say 19 are women coaches, something like that. I mean, that's not up to date, but that was like last year when I was talking to Kirsten about this. And so, I mean, I think that's changing, you know. I think there's more, not more, it shouldn't be more opportunity, but I mean, I think there's more qualified people for sure.
Right.
I mean, all these young women that are playing, if they want to make that commitment of time that these 3 have made, and then, you know, I think that the administration is, you know, the days of just hire the guy I think are gone.
I think it's fun to see the players that played in high school come back and be coaches and be officials, and see them go, you know, to the very top level, because, you know, Fred mentioned Amaka, but, you know, there's many, many more. And, you know, Amanda and Kirsten are 2 great examples of that.
Yeah.
Yara Cruz did NCAA. I saw her last night. She was doing a WNBA game. You know, I saw her at the Big Ten, you know, the Big Ten tournament out in Indiana, doing games there. And she played at Madison.
I got a chance to see Coach Kirsten and Coach Lewis a lot last year. I saw Coach Kirsten 5 times. And I kept thinking that how wonderful it was for the girls to have such a good role model like you, because you're very positive on the bench. You do a great job, good leader. And I do think, as Coach Drayton was saying, not that we can't have, you know, great male role models for female players as well, but it is nice to have some great women coaches and great leaders. And I think those girls who played for you will never forget it. I think it's amazing. And if we can have referees, ADs, or what do you call you guys call ADs now? DSAs.
DSAs.
So, well, let's get quickly to a preview of next year. I guess you guys haven't seen a lot of people around this summer because you guys don't do a lot of summer leagues. But what do we think for next year? I mean, obviously Madison's going to have to rebuild a little bit, and sounds like Langley's going to have to rebuild a little bit. You know, everyone is crying foul here. But who are the teams to look for next year, and who are some of the players that are going to emerge? I think Robinson is probably pretty young.
Robinson.
That's what I was gonna say.
Hey, do me a favor, talk slow so I can get all this written down.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I talk fast. I'm sorry.
I spoke to Coach Dave yesterday. We were at the funeral of one of my assistant coaches' mother, and she also helped him out when he was at Jefferson. And those of you that know Kathleen Rose, her mother passed away, and so we were at the funeral yesterday. And so I was ragging him a little bit, and he was giving me the, well, you know, I don't know, da 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 da. But he's there. He's got the Shimp girl, and he's got the girl who was a freshman last year. I can't think of her name right off the bat, but they'll be real good. Robinson will be real good.
Yeah, the freshman, I believe she had an older sister on the team.
She did. Yeah. Sister was a guard. She was a wing, about 5, might be 6 feet. You know, and I really liked. She only goes right. Write that down, Noel.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, she goes right really well.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you know she's doing right, because she's doing it really well.
Yeah.
So,
Lake Braddock should be really good too. Do you guys remember those 2 ninth graders? I mean, I think they're going to be pretty strong too.
Yeah, Lake Braddock. I think Herndon actually is going to make some noise. Mike has a nice core group he's been developing for a few years, so I'm not going to sleep in them within our our conference. Again, the Liberty every night, pick your battles.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
you
did
know
you hear
that-
about that new freshman guard at Langley?
Centerville has a freshman in the Rising Freshman League that scored 30 on us, no problem. So I
And
can
they
see
also-
her being an impact.
Yeah, they also had that girl that was, she started off the season last year. She was a freshman and
Mhm.
got
She tore
hurt
ACL.
early. So
should be
Centerville
good.
should be, yeah.
Now, I don't have any real legit information on that, but private school looms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say if they're that good when they're freshmen, it sounds like they could be vulnerable to leaving. Huh?
Coach Fisher out at Woodgrove lost his best player to Paul VI.
She did
got
go.
hurt. When he got hurt.
I thought maybe I wouldn't lose any since they moved to Loudoun County. So now they just changed their focus, you know.
So she did go.
Private school, huh?
Ooh, she could play.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's the one that got hurt though. She didn't play in the state final, in the state tournament because she got hurt in the semi.
No, that was a different one. No, this is Sophie.
That's how many of them it was.
Sadie. Well, he had a good team. He's going to still have a good. She's out. But I mean, private school is a factor. It's maybe not as publicly known as it is on the boys' side, where it gets splashes, but it's an issue.
Yeah. Well, this year, we had a first team All-Met, returning All-Met, Greg Jones, who stayed public, which is amazing. And then the awesome player for Fairfax, Morgan. I'm not going to even try to butcher his last name, but he also is a returning senior. He didn't go to private, and both those kids I thought were vulnerable, but they came back. So it's exciting. I haven't heard any rumors of any major player on the boys' side except for the kid from Centerville who transferred to Flint Hill. But generally, it's been a good offseason for the boys. So.
Well, Julian, you and I talked about this before. One of the things that we're doing this year with our team is we're going to Indiana to play.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
And we will be playing in the Hoosier gym.
That's awesome.
So we will be Hickory. Playing the defending state champs with every single person back.
Oh,
Except then they had the Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana, and she committed to Connecticut. And so I said, well, we'll be Hickory, and but it's just the idea of providing that experience to the girls, to go out and play in that kind of an atmosphere, in that kind of a setting. So, we're leaving the morning after we play you, Devaughn, and then
okay.
we're playing you on Friday, and then we're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and flying to Indiana and then playing out there. But it's just
Wow.
experience the past. Well, anyway, I was laughing about it. I was talking to the guy who's helping me set this up used to be the AD at Oakton, and now he's the AD at Lebanon High School in Indiana. I don't know if anybody would ever heard of a guy by the name of Rick Mount.
Yes.
Yeah, he went to
Indiana
Lebanon.
legend.
Yeah, he was ABA legend. Okay, but anyway, so he helped me set it up, and the only people that he could get to play was Noblesville High School, and so that's where and they were defending top level champs, and everybody back, literally every single person back.
Yeah.
I said, well, thanks a lot, Phil. I really appreciate that. And then he sent me a text, and I read the article talking about transfers. This girl just transferred. She already has 1,600 points as a junior. She's almost deadlocked to be Miss Indiana basketball, but she's transferring to a private prep school where everybody there's 200 kids in the school. And I think they all play basketball, but not really. But it's a sort of a basketball factory. It's called La Lumiere.
So you're not gonna play her, or you are going to play her?
No, we're playing the team, but we're not playing her. But we'll still be Hickory.
Yeah. It's almost like when people schedule you for their homecoming game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do. I would schedule us for our home.
Yeah, you're gonna walk into an ambush.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least you can give one of those Gene Hackman pregame speeches.
Oh, I do that at the end of the year. What I say about this basketball team is the law.
Yeah.
I say that every year.
Exactly.
Kids, I have to make them watch the movie. They won't, well, make them.
Yeah,
Me too.
my favorite coach's pregame speech is Al Pacino in the football movie, Any Given Sunday, inch by inch. We work for every inch. And I used to always give my son that speech, as I drive him to a soccer game. He's like, Dad, your speeches don't work anymore. But well, let's close by going around and talking about your plans for the fall and your schedule for next winter, like some of your big games, any holiday tournaments, tip-off tournaments, and maybe preview your team for next year, and to the extent you haven't yet. So we'll start with Coach Stone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh.
For the fall, we just do workouts. So we work out 3 days a week on the tennis courts, and I tell the girls to go play at Nottoway. It's funny because a bunch of my girls came over, and now that they've all graduated, they're like, it's so fun to play at Nottoway. I'm like, I've been telling you for 4 years, but it's fun. And then as far as the season, I mean, we're supposed to scrimmage Flint Hill, but I don't know who took that job. So we got Flint Hill, and then we're playing in the Langley tip-off tournament, and we're playing in the winter DC tournament, the Title IX tournament. As far as I have 5 returners, 1 starter returning. Kayla Dixon is a senior. She started for me while Katie Kashuta was hurt. And then Sarah Link is my senior. She started her sophomore year when my 2 bigs were hurt. So her sophomore year when we won the first state title, she started, and then she was our 6th man last year. So then she'll be back. And then I have 2 rising juniors that are pretty good. Stella Goofkus, who didn't get a lot of time because we were so deep last year, but I think she's going to be super strong. And Avery Griepentrog, who she was just a solid sophomore and took some minutes when they were there. So I'm pretty excited. I think they're all going to have to learn new roles and figure out who's going to score and do all that, but it should be a fun year.
Are you excited about not having a target on your back going into the season?
I think everyone's going to be like, paybacks.
That's what they said to me for years, payback.
Yeah. I think that
But I
target
think
is
you'll
there,
do the
just
same thing we
different.
did.
Yeah.
Let's schedule Madison for homecoming.
Win it.
Yeah, we're going to get them.
Win.
So, well, thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Noel, what about Westfield?
Well, we're looking forward to, we're scrimmaging Gainesville, and we're scrimmaging Raven Short's team out in Loudoun County. And both those teams had last year a lot of success. And so that's going to give us a good look at what we have, because we only have 5 returning. And fortunately, we have Bella Bruce back. We have our point guard, Sam Etzler, back, and Emma O'Connor, our post, coming back. So at least positions are covered, but nothing's guaranteed unless they're all healthy. So, we're going to have to find new people to replace all those graduates, because we lost a lot of speed. We lost a lot of leadership. We lost a lot of talent. So, kids will be moving up through the year. Then we get into, we play tip-off tournament through West Springfield. And last year it was a lot of fun. We went down to Valley Forge. And even though it was a really long drive during rush hour, it was such a valuable experience to go where the kids knew no one. So they didn't already have a scout. So they actually were a little bit, fearful. And then, they had to figure things out really fast. And it worked out to be a great game for us. But we'll go through the tip-off tournament and then our regular season games. And then we're playing in the Colgan tournament for winter holiday. And I expect that to be another opportunity, even though it's not an overnight, an opportunity for the kids to kind of get out of the area a little bit and take a look at some unknowns. So they can be respectful of their opponents without a great scouting report and get ready for district play.
Coach, is it an adjustment when the boys coach changes and you have to get used to a new boys coach? Does that make a difference to a girls coach at a school?
I think it totally depends on the relationship between the coaches. And And I, along with a lot of people, love Coach Ewell. And Coach Ewell leaving after nearly every year. I think he might have started as the head coach just a couple years after Westfield opened. So, he's been at the helm, and he is so charismatic, and he is so funny, and then he is so serious, and he can take a look at my team and go, what's going on here? And I'll say something, and he'll already have triggers. He'll already know, and we can have those conversations. The good thing is he's still teaching. So he's still around, and he still has his 2 boys that'll be in the program. So that's good. And he's a guy that will respect the space of the new head coach, but he also knows Kevin Harris, and Kevin Harris is a terrific coach. And, the nice thing for me, because Kevin is much quieter than Doug. The nice thing for me, I coached Kevin's wife in high school.
Oh, that's right.
And so when all that came about, because I wasn't on the panel, and I wasn't, I said, well, this will be fun, because I'll get to see Roxy more. But, seeing the kids grow up has been a lot of fun. So there's that nice dynamic. And then we just have to figure out how to, share the space and make the schedule work. And he wants what's best for both programs. So that makes it easy.
Well, if you miss Coach Ewell that much, I've been known to give unsolicited advice as well, so I can always come by and watch practice too. So that offers open. So, Coach Amanda, what about Langley? I know you had some big graduations as well, but how are you guys looking for the next season? And what about your preseason, your tip-off tournament, or your holiday tournaments?
Sure. So the tip-off we've hosted the last couple years is actually going to be at McLean. So Kirsten, I'll see you at McLean, but we'll be in that tip-off. We're scheduled for the O'Connell holiday tournament, and then Liberty District. We're actually opening with Edison, so I'll be interested to see what happens there, and we'll be facing from a coaching perspective. Player-wise, Anya Rahman's probably our top returner. She's a sophomore, had a great summer playing with PV Thunder. She's a year-round kid, and I think really developed a lot in the last couple of months. So I'm excited to get her back into the gym at Langley and kind of see where her skills are at. We have a couple seniors. One is Raylan Harrell. She really came on at the end of the season, post player. And the other is Alexis Tappan, who I think will be a key part of our leadership. She's kind of bought into what it takes to be good, and what the expectations are at Langley of how we operate. So I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing her embrace that more. We have some rising juniors that I hope will get on the radar, and as I mentioned, some freshmen. So we're going to be a lot of new faces, but we have a strong core with the kids I mentioned up front. So we could really do well, or we could be middle of the road. It'll depend a lot on what the rest of Liberty looks like, and how we develop in the next few months. We'll be playing in the West Springfield Fall League. We'll be playing on Sundays, and we have green days twice a week. So we'll have a nice fall, and I hope to produce this winter.
Yeah, well, that'll be exciting, Coach. Well, Coach Priester, you talked about your trip to Indiana, which is going to be amazing. Take a lot of photos so we can look at them. But what do you?
I'm very excited about that. I was out there visiting, and I went to the gym, and I found out that you could get games there. And funny thing, I'll try to make it quick because it was weird the way it happened. We were gonna play Lebanon, which would probably be a good matchup for us, there. And in Indiana, they have a rule that says that you can't play anybody that's more than 400 miles away. And they thought that rule was going to be changed. And they were going to change it because of wrestling, because if they were at a tournament in Ohio, and then the kid got to the final, and the guy in the final was from Florida, he had to forfeit. Well, that's just stupid. Okay. So he said, I think they're going to change it for everything. So then they had the meeting, and they didn't change it. So he said, well, I got to get another game. So he went and set it up so he could get another game. And like 1 month later, they completely changed the rule, just like we thought. But he couldn't bail on that game, so he had to then find me another game. I guess the only team that was out there that couldn't find anybody to play was the defending state champ. So ka-ching. So that's why we're playing them. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm bringing my whole family out there. I have a lot of family still in Indiana, and they're all going to drive over from Indianapolis. So I'll have a pretty good crowd there. There'll be at least rooting for us or, there to cry on their shoulder afterwards. But the kids are excited about playing, and I keep telling them we're Hickory, and they said, we'll be Hickory. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So and we're having our Christmas tournament. Devaugh's in that, and we'll have 12 teams. I got 2 more that want it. I just don't think I can pull off 7 games a day. It's just I have to be there the whole day, and I just don't know if I can do that. But anyway, so that's we got teams from all over. Maryland and Prince William and Loudoun and the whole metro area. We all have the same basic schedule that we had last year because it's the second year of the rotation. Of course, we'll play Westfield, we'll play Madison. They're in our district. We play Devaughn there at the beginning. I don't know if we'll be around long enough to play Amanda at the end there. We'll see though. But I'm excited. As I told you, I really like my kids. Not that I haven't liked. I've pretty much liked all the kids I've coached, but this in spite of the fact that they have to work so hard, to be competitive, they're just a great group of kids. Now, some of them played AAU this summer. 2 or 3 of them were on my team. Well, I think they were on my team because one was at Notre Dame for summer school, and the other was in Tahiti, and the other one was in Europe for 3 weeks. So they dropped in on my team once in a while, but they didn't play much. I don't know, and the rest of them, I know that they were on different teams, but I didn't have time to follow them because I was also coaching a 7th grade team of kids that were, just wanted to play, and we're still learning the game. And so we had a stalwart season. I think we were 5-22, but I think they got better, and I had fun, and it was good. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the season, and as I said, looking forward to seeing everybody's young players out there at our showcase, and then going through the season and seeing all these guys, kids playing in our all-star game in the spring. So there's commercials.
Yeah, I came over to watch you guys play Madison last year. I couldn't believe how beautiful your gym is now. They've done a great job with Oakton's gym. I guess West Springfield, they did the same design as well. So it's
Herndon as well.
Yeah, it made a big difference. So
we had trouble with the floor. We had a lot of trouble with the floor because the wood was coming apart, and virtually every single game somebody diving on the floor just tore themselves up. And they kept saying it's going to get better, it's going to get better. Well, it did kind of squeeze back in, over the summer when the wood expanded. I'm just hoping it doesn't contract back out, when it gets cold, because my kids were already talking about wearing armor.
Wow, that's scary. Okay. Well, thanks, Coach. And again, best luck this season. Well, Coach Drayton, what about the Patriots? Now we have high expectations for our sports teams in Yorktown.
No pressure, dude. No pressure.
Well, this year, let's start. 4 years ago, I was either brave enough or crazy enough to have 8 freshmen playing varsity, and they're now seniors coming up this year.
Oh, great.
So one transferred for volleyball. She was 6'1" at guard. She gone to O'Connell for volleyball. By all means, her brother's still at the school, so always a chance she might come back her senior year to come hoop. And then we lost another one who was the all-Met field hockey player of the year. So she gave up basketball. So that core, though, is still there. And this is their senior year. So we'll be returning our point guard. I'll start backcourt, the freak athlete, Olivia Stafford, who came this close to, as a freshman, win a defensive player of the year last year, and also pushing into making first team. Then we also have a forward, Taylor Chase, that's still around. And then our point guard, Aja Goodwin. But we have a solid core with tons of athleticism, sneaky athleticism. Then we got a couple freshmen that's entering that can kind of put the ball on the floor and can kind of stroke it a little bit. So we're excited to see what we do. We open up against Oakton, and then we go in, I think a few days later, I believe we play Madison, we play Centerville, and then we go into the Liberty. So by all means, by the time I like our schedule, because by the time I get to the Liberty play, and then I'm in Fred's Christmas tournament, we should be pretty tuned up for Liberty play, which is ultimately what we really try and focus on. We try and look at the other games as preparation for what we have to deal with in the Liberty, which is a dogfight night in and night out. But we're excited. We're looking forward to it. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Well, one thing that I've learned tonight is I think one of the reasons why this panel is more upbeat than the boys panel is because you guys are able to do less during the summer. You get away from your girls a little bit. They can grow on their own without you having to coach them or at least be in the gym watching them. And I can tell you guys really, can make the most of your summers more than the guys. I talked to the guys 2 weeks ago and they were just going to take August off and get away from their kids. On July had been a grind. So it looks like you guys have had a restful time away for folks who are starting school tomorrow. Good luck and thanks for doing this on the eve of it's almost like Christmas Eve night before we go back to
I don't know about that.
Exactly. But well, Coach Stone, you had some nice vacations this summer. I'll follow you on Facebook. But look, I really
I
appreciate
couldn't
you
get her
guys.
on the phone all summer. Every time I tried to call her, it was like straight to voicemail.
Exactly.
I was laying by the beach.
Yeah, never.
Yeah. But I think you guys, it's good to get away. And I learned that tonight that you guys, are able to do less. And I mean, you don't have to work 12 months a year. I think you can get to where you want to go without the coaches having to work themselves to death. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys doing this. I think it's great to get the coaches on here and talk about the ways to make the game better and ways to make your job easier. Hopefully we can do it again before the season starts and kick the season off right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys. We'll be in
All right.
close contact.